Good morning, my friends. This is Lisa, your favorite spoon bunny, and welcome back to the Life Spoontastic. I'm sorry that it's taken so long for me to get back with you guys, but that is unfortunately due in part to the fact that I am a bit of a technology gremlin, and it took me a bit of time to troubleshoot my little webcam here. My friend Vanessa doesn't really believe in the notion that I'm a gremlin, but it just seems that whatever I touch in terms of technology just turns to dust in my fingers. But I've got it all working now. Yay. American Sign Language for applause here. And in case you hadn't seen it in the news, it's still in the news. And in fact, people are getting fired over it nowadays. Today we're going to chat about the week that the lights went out in Texas, starting Valentine's Sunday. That was a heck of an adventure for our family, let me tell you. Starting out with that Sunday night, Valentine's night, my husband started displaying those flu symptoms. He had a sore throat. He had a swollen lymph node. He had a headache. And let's just put it kindly by saying he was spending a lot of time in the bathroom. So he went to urgent care, and they tested him for COVID. And that came back inconclusive. So that was really quite helpful there. So they, in theory, sent the test off to the lab for confirmation. And in the meantime, they started to treat him for strep throat, just in case, with antibiotics and whatnot for any sort of bacterial stuff going on. And then about 2 a.m. during the night Monday, we lost power. So we woke up very, very, very cold Monday morning. And as it turns out, I was supposed to have had my monthly pain management appointment that morning. And my doctor's office called me and said, no, we're not doing that. We're canceling your appointment because the roads are icy. And we don't want our staff traveling on that. Understandable, no big deal. Can we schedule you for Friday? And I was like, what? No, because this is my monthly pain management appointment. I'm going to be out of my meds by then. There's no way I can do Friday. So they said, well, can you do Wednesday? I said, well, is there no way that we can do tomorrow? And they said, well, I can't guarantee tomorrow because we don't know what the weather's going to be like by then. And I said, well, I understand, let's pencil it in for tomorrow. And if we have to change it, then I will absolutely understand that we have to change it. But let's at least try, So we penciled it in for Tuesday. And thank God I was able to be seen Tuesday. Got to see the doctor on Tuesday, no problems. But then discovered by lunchtime that there was a bit of a problem. Because not only were we experiencing, winter weather here in deep South Texas, it was snowing in San Antonio, in Houston, in Austin, in Dallas, in Lubbock, and just about even in West Texas. We were experiencing a winter storm like Texas had never seen. It was all over the state. And by the end of the week, we had even heard reports of snow along the southern border and into northern Mexico. It was craziness. But come to find out that the compounding pharmacy that makes some of my medications in San Antonio was closed. Found out that the compounding pharmacies, even here locally, were closed. So I didn't have access to at least half of the medications that I needed to take for some of my pain. So major problem. So I waited another day to see if they were going to open back up. Wednesday morning, compounding pharmacy in San Antonio still hadn't opened. Local compounding pharmacies had not opened yet. Called my doctor back, and he said, well, I told him, I don't know what to do because, half of my medication regimen is going to be unavailable. I'm going to run out soon, and I have nothing to bridge the gap. So he said, come back in. So Wednesday morning, I went back in, and he said, okay, we're going to give you an emergency prescription for an emergency supply of stronger opioids to sort of stand in the gap and give you some relief in between now and the time you can get your meds. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because thank God I have such an outstanding doctor and that he comes through for me every single time that I need him to. And in fact, he said, what we'll do even on top of that is we'll have you come in, Thursday for an infusion so that you're not missing, the medications that you are missing. And so I went in Thursday for an infusion so that, I was even more doubly covered than what I might need just in case, the compounding pharmacies didn't open by week's end. Because I knew I was going to be out of the non-opioid medications before the end of the week. By Friday, it was going to be completely gone. There was just no way that they were going to survive the end of the week. And just the nature of the beast, because of the fact that they have to be made and manufactured by a compounding pharmacist, there's a 48-hour turnaround time by the time that the pharmacist even gets to receiving the medication. They have to make it, and then they have to get it to me. So there's a 2 or 3 day turnaround time if by the time the pharmacy even opened for them to get it back to me. So, it was just this serious emergency time there, and I'm glad that my doctor was able to pull through for me on that front. But in all of this adventure in trying to get my medication sorted out, we were busy trying to make sure that we had plenty of, flashlights and lights to go around, plenty of batteries, to last us, because we didn't know how long we were going to be without power. We were looking for firewood to man the fireplace and get whatever little heat that we could get in the house, because it was like 40 degrees in the house and it was 30 degrees outside. It was insane. And my condition does not respond well to cold at all. I've told you that many times over. And I was in 3 pairs of pants and 3 shirts and a thick pair of socks and house shoes with my head pulled up over my head and a scarf wrapped around my neck and just desperately trying to stay warm and huddled under 2 blankets at all times just to stay warm enough to keep my pain levels even remotely reasonable. because I was trying to take as little of my medications as I possibly could, because I was trying to conserve them and make sure, because if I couldn't get to my doctor and I couldn't get some solutions working, I was going to have to make those medications stretch. And of course, my husband was sick too. So my poor little sick self was trying to take care of everything. Thank God Vanessa was still here and she was able to help me out. Because if it weren't for her being here and it weren't for the fact that at least my husband was here, being able to take care of whatever he could inside the house, despite the fact that he was quarantined and sick himself, there's just no way that we would have survived the week with me having to take care of everything on my own. And of course by Wednesday, the locals had gone insane. My doctor, when I saw him Wednesday, was showing me pictures of the local grocery stores that they were out of food, completely out of food. And it was bananas out there. I can only hope that, all of my friends and family, had enough, food and firewood and, things to tide them over and keep them safe. I was checking on my kids, I was checking on my siblings and making sure, that everything was okay with everybody else. As much as I could, while trying to tend to my family's own needs, but it was just a crazy, crazy, crazy week. And they were saying that, the part of the problem was that the wind farms in West Texas had frozen over and they weren't generating power, and even what power we had, the power lines had frozen over and just weren't capable of delivering the power to us, and pipes were bursting and it was just chaos everywhere. And so when I went to the pharmacy to pick up my stuff on Wednesday, that by the time I got there, it was a line just to get into the grocery store, and they were trying to make me wait in line to get into the grocery store. And I was like, yeah, I just have to get to the pharmacy. That's all I need. I just need to go to the pharmacy. And they said, well, okay, go on in. And Vanessa was with me, and she started following me in. And they immediately questioned her, and they were like, well, does it have to be both of you? And she just, bless her heart, she lost it. She immediately just barked at them. She was like, I'm her caregiver, and she just walked on by. She was not putting up with anybody at that point. She was not leaving me alone because she knew I was in pain. And she wasn't putting up with it with anything at that point. She was not going to deal with anyone giving her any business about staying with me. So I was grateful for that at least. But I went to the pharmacy, I got my meds, and came home, and it was like, it's nuts out there, Fortunately, we had more than enough food to last us, the rest of the week, because I have a habit of buying way ahead of our needs. Due to my illness, I never know when I'm going to feel well enough to go to the grocery store. So I always have a habit of buying ahead, in terms of, I don't need it right now, but who knows when I'm going to be able to get to the grocery store. So let's go ahead and get it while I'm here and while I'm feeling well enough to go ahead and get the job done. So we had more than enough food to get us through all of that. We just, needed when it came to that Monday, we had to get through, the whole batteries and flashlights and firewood situation, to make sure that we weren't, stumbling around in the dark. But hopefully everyone stayed as safe and as sane as they possibly could during that week. It just seemed that the entire state, lost its mind. We have a phrase, that we're Texas strong, when it comes to hurricanes. It's like, we got this, been there, done that, we can handle it. Tornadoes, bring it on. But when you tell us it's gonna snow, what do we do? We don't know. We've never done this before. So, it was just madness out there. And hopefully going forward we can learn, and we can be better prepared in the future. I know we learned a few lessons ourselves, and I just hope that the next time around it won't be such terrible timing when it comes to my meds, because that was the closest call that I ever want to take when it comes to doing without my pain medications. I and being so cold inside the house, we ended up being a total of 36 hours without power. And I know there were a lot of people who suffered a lot longer without power. I know that there are a lot of people out there who have medical conditions of their own, and who had to deal without power a lot longer than we did. And my prayers were with you throughout that whole time. I just hope that you all had the medications that you needed, and that you guys were able to pull through as best you could. I may have some tips and tricks, some Spoon Bunny hat tricks to put on offer for you guys later down the line, once I've had the chance to prove them out and make sure that the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, in terms of whether or not they work. But I just hope that everybody was able to pull through as safely and as sanely as possible, and that, everybody, was able to stay warm as much as possible. Thankfully for us, if we had nothing else, thanks to my mother's quilting habit, we had a metric ton of blankets, at least. So there was that. If all else failed, we could huddle in our beds and we could pile on the blankets. So God blessed us with that, at the very, very least. But in terms of my husband's COVID crisis, we found out Thursday, I believe it was the 15th, 16th, 17th, the 18th, that his test hadn't even left town, because there was no FedEx service, and the lab that his test was supposed to have gone to was in Houston, and Houston was still getting snow by Wednesday and Thursday anyway. So it was like, well, goodness gracious, what are you going to do there? So they got the sample off, and by Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, we found out that to make a long story short, the lab did not get to it before the sample had expired. So he ended up having to go back in and get retested, this time using a more expensive test that isn't widely used, so that they could come back with a conclusive result. And he was able to, he did test negative, thank God. And he was able to go back to work for one night before his normal days off that weekend. So that was kind of funny there. He spent a week and a half in quarantine with us during the great Texas deep freeze. And like I said, he was able to help us out, inside the house while he was quarantined, stuck at home, sick. Anyway, he couldn't do much. I couldn't do much. My parents couldn't do much. So, thank God at least Vanessa was here. She could help us out. She even busted out the grill, and I've never known a woman who could make a beef or chicken vegetable soup on the grill, but boy, she did it. And we were feasting on vegetable soups for days on end, and that was keeping our bellies warm, even while the power was out, and that was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I can only hope and pray that that at least some of you had at least as many blessings as we did. For all my spoonies out there, I pray for you every day. I really do. This is a tough life, and it's made even tougher when the weather decides to strike back. So, just stay safe, stay warm, always. And until next time, my friends, this is a Spoon Bunny signing off. May your spoons be plenty, and your troubles, as always, be few. Have a great week.